For Europe, no, we're still very slow. This is new field for everyone, and especially for politics. I really like Sweden model, how they are working. And I think that's like the best what Europe could have. Two huge like supercomputers with a lot of resources, and we don't really have zero models. So if you want to train, you need like the data center and then the nuclear power plant to like make you energy for that. If you increase model parameters, at some point it will become so good, you will see like more data, synthetic one than real one. That's how we basically solve like copyright issues. And I was like so sad because I know what we have.
And so basically it's a bureaucracy, what stops the innovation.
A lot of people want to right now to be more environmental friendly AI, but only 22% of people can use AI.
And I was like, okay, this is the speed, what nobody expected to see. To go on the next one, where I believe you have the most experience on, is multilingual capabilities. Tell me more about this.
In the world, there's 7,000 languages, different ones. Only 22% of the world speak in English.
Okay.
Which means that only 22% of the people can use AI in general.
If everyone who speaks in English will use it.
Yeah, exactly. So then 78% of other people even don't have a chance to do that. So we always talk that this technology should make revolution in the world and make accessible learning and medicine for all the knowledge in the world. And the same was with the internet, I think. Internet basically is English. There's specific sites only for different language, but most huge portion is only in English. I think AI is right now also only in English. So there's only a couple specific applications that speak more than one language. So one of this LLM challenges how to democratize that this technology, even how it's working right now to write email or something like that, which is working pretty good, should be accessible for everyone in the world. No matter if you're in Africa or Asia or Indonesia or like some island, you need to have this specific access to this technology because it could help a lot and also improve these technologies. So Lithuania was one of these languages that not represented at all. That's why a research group started. Yeah.
And I was thinking, how many Lithuanians are in the world? 6 million maybe?
No, I think 3 million. Yeah, it's still a very small market comparing to Portuguese or other languages. That was also not very represented, but they have hundreds of millions speakers around the world. So
even Spanish market. It's basically some call it second language. I would say Chinese.
China, I think right now it's going quite good, I think, of everything. But it's different. It's more political thing to create your own things.
Yeah, China is different, let's say this way.
Yeah, so this is what's pretty important if we want to say that, okay, more people using all the content in English. So basically social media is in English, internet is in English, everything is in English. All the kids are starting speaking English better than the native language. That's why we need technologies that could help you learn specific languages and do a lot of different things for older people. So we want that AI would be for everyone, not for specific few people that could use it. So that's why multilingual AI is super important.
And that's why we're talking in English today, not in Lithuanian, because it will be a really small audience what could understand what we are talking.
With this goal, I started AI research group for Lithuanian, then I joined the Cohere for AI project. It was creating the specific and structure tuning datasets, which is fine-tuned ChatGPT.
Who was initiator of AI project?
So it was Cohere for AI, so it's non-profit organizations that basically have a lot of researchers and they also gather.
So it's joint project, from the different groups.
Very similar to Bloom was. HuggingFace covered most organizational costs, and for this was, I think, Cohere company cost. Cover some computational power. So the main goal was to create for 101 language. How we did it, we take different data sets from HuggingFace, then translate them into 101 language and ask annotators to say, okay, can you say if this specific question and this specific completion is correct in your language?
From English, yeah?
And in this case, yes. So from English to Lithuanian. And you need to tell, we ask annotators, can you check if this specific sentence and this specific completion is correct? And you just thumbs up, thumbs down, or if you need to, you edit a little bit. So we collect these kind of prompts and completion parts of 204,000 over 8 months. So it was super hard because you need to annotate data. Someone is super boring job.
And you're talking just about Lithuanian language?
No, it's for all 100 languages.
Okay.
It was super. For Lithuanian, I think it's 3,000 or something like that, even more. But it's quite enough, I think, for that specific case. But yeah, so it was super hard to tell people, okay, our mission is to create a very good model that could understand Lithuanian or other languages, but you need to help us with annotation. So I annotate a lot. Most probably for Lithuanian, 80% is my annotation. So I'm sitting on the weekends and doing this because I know that this is quite important.
How many people helped you?
From Lithuania, I think 10 or 12 annotators that could help.
And how other languages groups had how many people on average?
Yeah, there was very interesting, very small languages that don't have very good representations. Even smaller than Lithuanian, Malagese or specific islands in Indonesia or specific countries in Africa, like the part of the country who speak in specific language. You need always to have access to specific people that could join a lot of other people. So these specific languages from Asia and Africa, there was languages that attract, I don't know, hundreds of these annotators, and they create amazing. Basically, and some governments even was involved, like, because it's a kind of small language, you need to be like, show that, okay, we did something for our language. So they did list national level, and they attract more people.
So if that initiative would go on the government level, I believe we can get at least 100 or a few hundred people who can work on this.
Yeah. So I try my best to attract as much people as possible. And I think we did quite a good job, but there's still a lot of job need to be done. You will see. In general, the goal was we released 2 datasets. One dataset was instruction tuning, these prompting completion from human annotators. And another one was Gaia collection. There's all translated datasets in 101 language. So basically, all these datasets translated in Lithuanian. So this also was super useful.
And you mentioned a few names to me of the models, I think, Part2. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on this one.
Then let's get back to Lithuanian AI research group. I mentioned I have 2 projects that I want done. And I'm reading a lot of research papers and never find Lithuanian. So one of the research paper I read was from Meta about this speech-to-text translator for many languages. And I'm reading all the languages and there's no Lithuanian there. And I was so sad because I know what we have. We have a huge data set, like 1,000 hours, and there's no Lithuanian there. And as I understand, okay, this is our problem. Not that we don't have anything or we don't do anything. It's that we not make this accessible to everyone. That's what.
How to make it accessible.
Yeah, so what we right now, we already have, we just figure out how to best upload to HuggingFace. So we have, Liepa was created by Vilnius University.
It's a project or what it is?
It was the project to create the huge speech and text. So basically you have speech file and also the sentence, what is in that speech file, basically transcription. And it's 1,000 hours for different people. So it's a lot of people say it's not very good data set, but I think it's very good to start, basically, to do some projects, something like that. The main problem with Liepa was not that it's not good data set, the problem was it's not really accessible. We don't really have some kind of main data set database. Basically, all these projects is in some databases on universities and they're using, but Google or other companies cannot access. So this was the main problem. They're not accessible for huge
do you want to say what at the moment there is no global data set portal, I don't know, one space?
The HuggingFace is probably the main portal that has the
Okay.
most data sets and all. How all these companies is working. In example, Google want to create some new model. What they did. So they have their own data sets, but they also going into HuggingFace or GitHub. Most of the time HuggingFace, because it's very easy to filter by the language for data set. And they checking, okay, so this data set has free license. Okay, to take this. And that's it. You already have a data set that you need. You don't really need to go to search specific language. It's a huge process to go. Some universities write a lot of administration work. So you don't really want that. You want that because training will take a lot of time and everyone is super rushing to do some things. So you don't really have time to searching for specific language data sets. They don't really care.
And how universities works then? They create those projects.
So most universities, so these projects are financed by European Union. There's a project, they do specific products, and basically that's it. So because the only main product is created and that's it, no maintenance.
No distribution, no money for distribution, no money for usage of whatever we are creating. We just create.
We just create data set, for someone to do something.
And we don't care who will use it and how they will access to it.
It's hard to say if we don't really care. Maybe we care.
Okay, maybe it's not the right word.
Put somewhere else.
Yeah, we put it somewhere, but we don't have any money, any budget, any plans to distribute it.
Yeah.
So no marketing. As a marketer, I would say we created product and we believe it's the best thing in the world, and people just somehow will come to us and use it, but it never.
Yeah, I think they don't really. University project is a little bit different from industry labs, research labs. So university, mostly in Europe, most of these projects are initiated by European Union. So it's specific timeline and you need to deliver specific product. When you're delivering, that's it. No any kind of what is next step. Okay, after delivering, are we doing marketing? Are we like spending money or something else? No, you just create product. That's it. That's why I think that's the huge problem with Europe right now, especially with AI, is that we don't really focus. We're spending so much money, but don't really focusing what we are creating and what would be the final product of that.
And how it will be used or distributed.
Exactly. Yeah. What I could do, I will take the Liepa and put into HuggingFace. I will split a little bit because it's the huge chunks of audio. I split by sentence and I would upload to HuggingFace. And that was it, basically. This was okay. And then what I can do with all this Liepa dataset, we can fine tune this Whisper model that I fine tuned previously with 500 megabytes of data, and I can fine tune on 200 gigabytes. And then it could be a very good one.
So you did that?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, it's in the process. This is why you need some money to make it happen.
So this one, also needs some kind of money. So I want to put everything for free. Yeah, so I started this 10 months ago, but then I see, AI has more impact at this moment than this. So I need to represent in the worldwide research Lithuanian language. So I just go to Aya, and then Aya basically last week was finished. And right now I'm back to build all that stuff that need to be built.
Yeah, and can you tell me what was exactly finished? You said Aya. Is it another model in Lithuania?
Yeah.
So Liepa 2 is one model and something.
This is a data set only.
Yeah. Okay, it's just data set. Okay.
Yeah. So Aya was data set also and also model. Two things. It's working. Saw someone try Lithuanian languages. It's not ChatGPT quality because it's not that much of data, but it's still working pretty well. So if we fine tuning on Lithuanian, the specific data set, it would be pretty the same, probably as ChatGPT, but it would be free.
Yeah, I think last week with my partner, we tested, we had Zoom call and I said, hey, can we test this somewhere to transcribe our talk in Lithuanian? Yeah. Because I use a lot of different tools for English calls, so that works amazing, and all the summaries on the key points, it works perfectly. But when it comes to Lithuania, I think just Sibyl product somehow joined one of my Lithuanian calls, and it catch the essence.
Yeah,
It didn't catch the main thing what we were talking, but it catch the essence in the right way and put everything together. And this is where for me was, oh my God, if it would be possible to get it in Lithuania. So this is what we tried. And by the way, it worked quite well. So at the moment we're trying to build something for our own usage. So I believe we will try the Part2, everything what you worked on Aya, and just compare these models and see what the end result can work. And by the way, I will leave the link where people can just leave their details. When we have something to show, we'll send you the information.
Yeah, so the main goal is to train on the Liapa dataset and just check how Whisper could be better to have more data and more quality data. So I have hypothesis that it will be very good because it's already have the noise from other languages, and you give quality data from the Liapa, and it could give very good result. At least transcription would be this kind of solve.
Okay, but at the moment there is no tested data.
How I test, so previous one when I using 500 megabytes on Whisper, it was the Whisper medium. So it's not the largest one. They have right now Whisper large version 2 or 3, which is even couple of percentage points better than the medium, and medium worked very good. So my hypothesis is if you take very large Whisper and give a lot of quality data, it could basically solve transcription.
Okay, so
at least it's my opinion. We will try to do that right now, so we will check how it happens.
And I believe AI Masters will join to review, and we will try to productize, because this is what we are looking always. We want for how we can create product and distribute it. Other part, how it was created or how the models were generated. We are not saying we are experts in that side, but we understand how to use the technology to make the product. So
this was my kind of goal also from the beginning, that okay, we can create resources for people to create something. That's how you can say, okay, we don't waste money for something if some people is using. So you can say, okay, it's improved innovation. So that's why multilingual basically important, and it's a huge challenge because there's not a lot of data. Countries don't really have compute for small countries to create some kind of models. And data collection is very expensive process. So we need to create something for them also.
Another question and the topic I wanted to talk, and it's related directly to the languages, HuggingFace and EU OpenGPT projects. As I understand, EU OpenGPT, can you tell about those projects? Because I learned only from you about them, what they existed.
So, when Bloom 2 started, there was 3 projects that...
in Europe.
At that specific moment, 3 projects want to get specific supercomputer for resources. One of them was from Norway, and one of them from Germany, which was OpenGPT-X project. That's why we don't win, because in Europe it's very hard to win if you're not from university.
To win these resources.
Yeah.
By the way, in last episode we talked about access, who can get access to supercomputers in Europe, and this is the problem, and now we're talking about the real project, what faced that problem.
So this was, okay, we cannot win because there's universities, it's very hard to, at this moment, HuggingFace, this was like before the hype of ChatGPT. And yeah, HuggingFace was a known company, but not that super big one that everyone knows about. It's right now. So yeah, and it's basically said, okay, yeah, we cannot get the resources for that because to train this model will cost a lot of money, especially on resources. Let's postpone it because other universities is doing the same. Then when I start Aya, we try to contact a lot of people. That's why Europe, it's a little bit hard to people contribute, because when you're discussing with researchers about specific project, they're excited, but say, oh yeah, we're doing similar project in our language. So we cannot contribute in
It's competition.
Not really competition, but I think they don't want to do the same thing, something like that, for a specific project. So that was an issue, and that's why I said, okay, in Europe, that's why we have, this is only my opinion, completely mine, but I think that's why we are really lacking comparing to US and China.
So the reason of the technology groundbreaking innovations,
Yeah, we really want that everything will be solved by university. And this is
not by business.
yeah, most of the time, all research should be done by university. And this narrative coming from Germany, France, the old universities, and the old research culture and everything else. Where we see from the world that specific independent research lab, first DeepMind, then OpenAI, and we see all these independent, right now not really independent, but at some point it was independent, creating a lot of basically running the field, not universities, but independent labs is running. And universities is good. And there's also a couple of universities that have compute. An example here in Switzerland, ETH has a lot of compute and a lot of engineers. But in other places in Europe, it's super hard for researchers to do the things what they want to do. In some cases, it's money problems. Maybe I can go to work to Google and make like 200,000-300,000 per year, or work in academia and make, I don't know, 30, something like that, 10 times.
10 times less.
Yeah. So that's why it's also, we have a lot of researchers, but these researchers already working in OpenAI, Google or something like that, and creating groundbreaking research in there. What we have right now, we have 3 or 4 supercomputers in Europe.
I remember it was
maybe
5.
Yeah, I think in top 5 it's 2 huge supercomputers with a lot of resources, and we don't really have 0 models.
So basically it's a bureaucracy what stops the innovation and that legal environment in Europe.
It's so many different regulations that we put these guardrails that money will not be spent on specific things, that it's stopping everything basically.
And I believe we just need to mention this and mention again and again until the right people will listen and hear it. If you want to get the result, you need to change something. And I believe this change should happen soon.
We need to just change probably mindset, how we think that universities could solve. If you have a lot of money and you want to have product, an example, Mistral or something like that, French company that creating very good models, but they start just, we just gather all the researchers, just raise the money, and then have the best European AI company, and that's it. So I don't see any super groundbreaking research from universities. There is some research, but most of these groundbreaking, that changing our environment or something, that is coming from research labs that has a lot of money, a lot of resources, and a lot of super smart people. That's why, like Sora, the recent model from OpenAI, show what could be created in research, basically, lab.
And as I understand, people in those institutions trying to prevent from the world end caused by AI in one way, because they fear if you will give all the power into the private hands or the businesses, they will go crazy because they are motivated by, I don't know, money, power, and other things. And if you go through the universities, you will go maybe slower way, but better way, talking about AI. And Sora, I was ignoring all the videos. I was watching some of podcasts in the evening, and I see what others are posting. Something happened, OpenAI released groundbreaking thing. I was ignoring. I said, no, not today, not today. I won't watch it. Still, after half hour, I watched it, and I was like, okay, this is the speed, what nobody expected to see. And do we have time? Do we have time? Can we afford to go slower, in your opinion?
For Europe, no, we're still very slow. So when companies or countries saying, we want to be user, not creator, it's make very red flag for me. And Europe, it's look like they are doing like this. We want
Europe will be users,
not creators. Yeah. And this is making the very red flag that's like no innovation will come.
Is it possible to change in your opinion? Just your personal opinion?
Yeah, probably. This is new field for everyone, and especially for politics.
For you, and for example, for technical people who worked on this and talked about AI for the last decade at least, it's not a new thing. But for politics, it's new thing. They don't understand it.
No. And they are making the regulations for what they do not understand. So this is these kind of problems and there's a lot of small issues. So I really Sweden model, how they are working. And I think that's the best what Europe could have.
Can you give some
Yeah,
light
so
on this?
AI Sweden is an organization that partially funded by government and partially by business. So
Okay.
basically they have some funding from business, which makes them be reliable. Okay, you need to create something that we can use as a business. And from government that say, okay, we will funding you because business need that also. So
Okay, and they
and
together
government can use it. Yeah.
and they control together on the board of this
Yeah,
organization.
and this kind of work very well because business say, okay, it's not make sense. You need to make this in 6 months, not in 6 years, because we don't really have that kind of time. We need, an example, Sweden GPT model or something like that, because I need for my clients. So we need to build it because we're paying you money. And then government say, okay, business asking also us to build something. So we give you money, you just build it. And this triangle, it's like working pretty well because business always say, oh, we need support. So we need support that. You need to create new models, update everything, that we have the latest best Swedish models, transcription, everything. And then government also, okay, we can also use in our sector because we already funded, so we know what you're using. So this gives a lot of makes sense. And this is how Europe could work. Each country have their own sector that, okay, we can build that, but you need to give money from specific stakeholders, from business and government. I think this is one approach. I will see that's working.
It was really deep dive into the multilingual challenge of LLMs. We have other 6 challenges. If listeners will say, hey, we would like to have more details on some specific ones, so leave comments, and I believe maybe David, we can do another episode and talk about this, but let's go through other 6, but really fast. So bias and fairness, the 4th challenge. What you can tell about this?
It's also how the model would be reliable. We say without hallucination, but also need to be ethical.
And it depends on the group of people who's looking.
Yeah, but in general, this term terrorism is the bad thing, not very good. So we need to model. So it's very dependent on the data quality and how you find specific fairness part. I don't remember how it's called, but it was the fairest model ever, which is not answering you anything because it's some kind of like
anything you ask, it just creates any justification why not to answer the question.
Because it's some kind of fairness problem. So you need to be like moderately fair for this to happen. So this is mostly data quality on what data we are training. So it's like kind of data problems.
And also it's the communication problem, how we communicate the same thing.
And also that's why multilingual is very important for fairness, because in specific countries, the context of specific is different. So that's why you need to have these multilingual that could be fair for specific language, not for everything. Because in the world, this fairness for everything is basically not existing. For every country, fairness is specific thing, how this culture aspect and other stuff, so that could impact.
And I see the pattern in one thing. I'm talking with different type of peoples from different fields, and sometimes we're using the same words in English. And I'm not native English speaker, I'm Lithuanian, and sometimes when I hear the word, it means to me, because I'm from the field of, let's say, marketing, totally different thing. And we're talking about the same topic, and the person who says that word, he has different understanding and approach on this because he's not a specialist in the field, and he's saying, oh, this is the word how everybody is talking about, and I'm as a specialist seeing it, oh, so you mean like target audience. So we need to target audience more specifically. I'm always thinking, okay, so this channel can provide this targeting filters, and this is how we can try to target the right people. And they talk from general point of view, we should target the better people, but they don't understand on technical level how it will happen, because, and if you have just those 5-6 fields of filtering, that's it, what you can do. Nothing more.
I think in different languages it's the same. Like when we start we need a lot of people, because when you're translating something from English, in example, in Arabic or some other language, it's sometimes context is changing in not very good way.
Yes.
So you need to that's why you need annotators to check if this is fair or not. So I think fairness is when we solve reasoning, that would be like, as you say, like this example about target audience. So this is also reasoning.
Or like like a simple example, but when you're talking between developers and business people, so I understand that language, or sometimes I'm talking with developers and we have different understanding. We're using the same words, even in my native language. And we don't talk the same language at all. And at the end, after 2 months, we're finding out, but you said this. Yes, exactly, I said this, but I meant this. Oh, okay, so it changes everything. So 2 months we spent on working on 2 different projects. So bias and fear.
Yeah, so this is about fairness.
So let's go to the next one. I believe everybody understood the main point here. And next one is interpretability and explainability. It's related to the previous one, but maybe it's different.
When we talk about interpretability and explainability, it's also like the reasoning problem.
Yeah.
You always need to explain. AI is like black box, like all this neural network and architecture is black box. We don't really know what caused to make this specific decision.
Even the creators who created it, they don't know what's going on.
No, it's super hard to because there's so many different parameters and layers and that you don't really know which time in training LLM learn the specific that is the right decision. I don't think that we will solve that ever. It's like the same to solve how brain is working.
Yeah, but maybe AI will solve it and can't explain to humans.
Yeah, after we do some, but it's very hard. In classical machine learning, there are specific things in the structure Excel files that you like. If you have this data set, which is structured data set, then there is techniques how you can say, okay, this feature have this specific percentage that have inputs for this specific the answer, something like that. If an example, if I say this, your symptoms is probably causing you a cancer. This interpretability showed which specific symptoms it's most impactful that it could cause you cancer. There is specific techniques that could a little bit explain you, but in general, it's basically black box.
Can you name anything?
I will add, for classical machine learning, it's the SHAP values and LIME. There's 2 techniques. For LLMs, I need to check, because nobody checking this.
Okay, thank you. So next one is data privacy and security risks mitigation strategy.
I think it's getting better. I think that we could solve this year. It's a very impactful problem, but I don't think that it's that huge. We have prompting is getting better. So Red Team and OpenAI and other companies that trying to jailbreak these large language models to give you an example how to make bomb or something like that.
Okay, so some certain topics are forbidden to.
Yeah, there are still some techniques. I think with reasoning, hallucination fix, these also will be fixed. You will say, okay, never show specific human name or like other patterns in your system prompt. System prompt is basically, it's like main prompt how the large language model should behave. You can tell like never use any specific information. And if model reasoning, it always like say, okay, this was my system prompt. I will never work like that. Again,
we're talking also about the hacking AI.
Yeah, there is, but there was time it could easier be jailbreak, but I think we will solve this. There's like guardrails right now that could.
And how about data privacy, especially when not the last update, but when OpenAI presented this new business plan, and I was reading what's included, and there was point on the business plan. There is one mentioning: model won't learn on your data. It means on the plus plan and free plans, it learns on your data. It uses your data. And
I think it really depends on the company. So if you want to use AI in your processes, you need to be sure that someone could. That's why like open sources, I think open source not that good, but you can basically deploy it on your machine and
so it will be in closed environment.
No data will come anywhere. So also ChatGPT could be run it on Azure cloud. This could also give more assurance that nobody but it's also not, I'm not 100% sure that.
This is a really interesting topic. Where are you running your LLMs and who has access to the data?
Yeah, if in the company we're running locally, and if we want to test something, we run it on the cloud because sometimes it's cheaper than running on your local computer.
And of course, infrastructure, you can have.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you need a very simple model that not have any privacy related data, then probably you can build on cloud and you don't really care if you're fine tuning specifically how to use, an example, customer bots or something like that. So they don't really have that much private data. So yeah, you can easily deploy on cloud, and cloud should be like the safest option right now. So it would be local on your local server, but if you don't have local server, because not your company, so probably then cloud would be best. If only you want to use for specific cases, then yeah, ChatGPT business, it's also, I think, good option. But then you need to understand which data could go into ChatGPT on which one not. Especially in government, I think it's very important.
And even if you say hey, do not use these instructions, but not talking with the professional from the field, people don't read those notifications and instructions. And as a marketer, I can say we're making the red squares, white text, read it. It's really important. And then you talk with the people. Did you saw? Yeah, something. I just skipped that.
Yeah,
it's really important, so I'm skipping this.
So it depends who's using. Most people who's using very sensitive data, they understand how to, because they have basically trainings every 3 months how to prevent data leaking and other stuff.
All right, next topic, really important one: environmental impact. We know we need more power. We need to get more results faster, cheaper, and so on, how it impacts the environment. Because a lot of people don't understand. I'm typing something on LLM or chat, it gives me a result, how I'm impacting the environment. Can you explain that part to people, how it is related to environment?
So I think this topic started when GPT-3 was released. First, a private model from OpenAI. So then started this conversation, how much it costs to train this kind of model. At that point, it was the hugest model ever built. It worked at that point pretty well, but everyone wants to know how much it cost. That cost like 12 million, I think, to train at that point, for only computation resources. So these computation resources, so servers, they consuming large amount of energy.
And usually GPUs I use, graphical cards to train it. So, and it consumes a lot of power, energy.
Yeah, as same as there was like cryptocurrencies also was doing the same on GPUs, similar commands, basically. It's mathematical commands that doing, and GPUs working very well on these simple equations to calculate. So then how much impact this environment, because if you're using this megawatts, thousands of megawatts of energy every week, so this is not very sustainable for general for the planet, because most of energy is coming coal. So this is
not like green energy, let's say it. This way.
Right now, I think it's better. Computational power is getting better. They consume less energy. All these data centers is more efficient. We working on this now scaling law. So this scaling law was introduced by OpenAI before they released GPT-3. So what they found that if you have the model, this was Ilya Sutskever's, the co-founder of OpenAI, idea that if you increase model parameters, at some point it will become so good that could be become similar as GPT-4 right now, what we have. And scaling needs a lot of computational, basically servers somewhere.
You just duplicate everything.
Just increase more and more.
And also more users are using, more power.
When they did research, then they probably not have that, because inference, if you're using only 100 people, it's not that big. Right now it's like 100 millions of people of using, and you need this inference time. It's very important.
And I remember when it went public and we started using it basically hourly, not daily. And it started to crash. I was paying money and it's still crashing. And I was trying, but on mobile phone it works, but on the desktop it doesn't. I was trying to hack into my own account to use the service for what I'm paying. And I said, I can pay 5 times more. Just give me a reliable service. And I believe a lot of people said the same thing at that moment.
Yeah, if one company is doing this, it's not probably the huge problem. but a lot of companies are doing
Yeah.
right now. This makes a huge environmental impact for that. To train one model.
Open models, what going on different servers.
Yeah, training yourself. Also, what I'm doing, also, it's not very environmental. It's just basically because I know that I need server in Google or Azure, but I don't really know what energy are they sustainable energy. I don't really know how much impact I make to train one specific model.
Anyway, as I see, it's a growing thing, and most of the technology companies, they're trying to optimize, get the green energy, build the facilities what generates energy from wind, sun, waves, whatever.
So there's very interesting what OpenAI is doing right now. Helion is a fusion energy company that partially invested by Sam Altman, OpenAI CEO. So what I see from all their portfolio companies that they trying to invest in the companies that could give them large amounts. So that's why they want to build the chips for like 7 trillion, which is crazy. But
Altman said, why not 8?
Yeah. Then they have this fusion company that have these reactors that could make you energy basically from.
And as I read, they got some groundbreaking research results where they generate more energy from what they needed to make those reactions. So
Andre Amadei, the CEO of Anthropic, said that to create AGI, so it should be the data center, a nuclear power plant, and then the office, something like that. So if you want to train, you need the data center, and then the nuclear power plant could make you energy for that data center. So that's how crazy it basically sounds. So a lot of people want to right now to be more environmental friendly AI, but yeah, it's still not that.
We will see, but I believe the future is going towards the green energy. Next thing is the dataset.
Yeah, so dataset is very hard to collect, so we need the good quality datasets, which is coming a little bit. A lot of people see more value from this specific part because what other research show that it's not really model architecture thing, it's more the dataset quality. So with the better quality, you have better result with the smaller model. We will see more dataset this year, definitely.
And I believe every year we will double of datasets.
Yeah, so I really want to mention one specific thing. New York Times lawsuits OpenAI for using copyright. And the copyright is a huge problem because all the news portals has the best quality data because they have redactors and other stuff like books and newspapers has the best quality data. Yeah.
They're in the data business, basically.
So the problem with this is copyrights. You still need to have good data set. What OpenAI, other companies doing is creating synthetic data. So basically, you train GPT-4 or similar model, and then you create a lot of synthetic data. So basically, write me an article about specific topic. It will write you maybe random something, but in most of the cases, it's write good. So then you can create your own data set. And then you put these synthetic data set also training your new model. And you can create a lot of them. So basically you create data creating engine that could create like a lot of data. And this is how GPT-5, I think, would be trained because they don't want to have lawsuits. And data is not the infinite like in internet. So you only thing you need is this synthetic data. That's why you cannot use ChatGPT response to train any large language models because this is their assets. And I think synthetic data will be huge in the next couple of years. We will see more data, synthetic one than real one. That's how we basically solve copyright issues.
Okay, even the synthetic data is built on something what was not synthetic.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you...
So it's a chicken egg question.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go to the next one is a generalization across domains. And
so multimodality. I think we mentioned just in the beginning that transformer architecture can basically encode everything into specific mathematical equations and then produce any result you want, like music to image, music to text, text to protein for sequence and other stuff. I think it's still very important to have one model that can do a lot of things. I think we will have some good ones this year, especially with to text, understand video. We see that Gemini 1.5 has incredible capability to understand video. So yeah, using a lot of different stuff. So I think we're coming in that way that models could understand video, text, music, images, basically everything. You can just pull, and if it reasons well, you can put the song, then the book and other stuff, and he finds the relationship between all these things. That would be cool to see these kind of applications. So.
And do you see what other solutions could help to go out of this generalization?
I think this is more like model architecture. So there's architecture Mamba called. So this architecture is based on more memory aside. So it's working on the large sequences. So transformers is not like this specific architecture. That's why it's have a specific context length, how much tokens you can write and you understand. I think with the Mamba and something between Mamba and transformer architecture could help solve the context, and then you just need the training data on different stuff, and that would be very good.
So next one is the robustness and reliability.
Yeah, so I think it's very similar what we previously talked with, like explainability and the fairness. I think this is like merged into one. So I think reasoning and hallucination would be and a lot of companies and researchers solving that. So when we have reasoning hallucination, these other problems will become, apart energy, will become more technical, not the research problem. How to implement this that would be more fair or something like that.
Thank you, David. It was really interesting to listen to you. You have so much data in your brain. Now I understand what all these titles are, not just the titles on the paper, but you have that expertise, you have that experience. I really want to thank you, and I believe everyone who will watch this episode, at least AI was a little bit demystified, and or at least we talked about the challenges what we have with AI, and a lot of them will be solved, or some of them maybe never will be solved, and we will have those challenges, or maybe it will be solved but it won't be understandable by the humans, or maybe we emerge with the robots and our brain. And by the way, Neurolink just implanted, and I read yesterday, I think, what that guy is already awake, moving mouse with his brain, typing and doing a lot of other crazy things. So we're living in really interesting times at the moment. And for me, it was Midjourney moment. When I played with Midjourney, I watched one video on YouTube. It was 2 o'clock in the night. This is when my brain is working. I checked that video. I was amazed. And I went to Midjourney straight away. I got the account, gone through this Discord mess and etc. And I generated 1 image, 2. I went on the paid plan immediately. I went to sleep around 6 in the morning, and at 9 I was on computer and basically spent another day just in Midjourney generating everything. I had all these projects and visual ideas. I couldn't make it, and now I don't need to talk with designers and wait for they deliver me something. And I said, no, it's not what I meant. I was amazed, and this is what the moment for me was, where, okay, we are in that moment when everything is changing. We are at the moment when internet happened to the humanity. And just last year when OpenAI introduced AI assistants and custom GPTs, this is when I said, okay, this is the moment I need to go full in, just move all the projects I had until that moment, and I cannot just miss this.
Yeah, Midjourney for me also was mind-blowing. I saw previous research that, but even you're reading research papers, always like the image, and you don't really feel that feeling that you write something and it bring it to life. So I think it will be the same when like OpenAI released Sora, text-to-video generation. So I think
oh my god, like I'm so waiting for B-rolls generated by AI, the good quality B-rolls.
Yeah,
it will be amazing. Thank you, David, for your time, for your insights. And everyone who is watching our episode, please subscribe to our channel. There will be more content. I will try to release them as fast as it will be possible. And click the bell button, you will be notified. Leave comments under this video. I will include as many links as it possible on everything what we talked with David. Thank you everyone for watching, and see you soon. And thank you, David.
Thank you, Martin. Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye.